In the heart of Africa's Atlantic coast lies one of the smallest yet most mysterious nations on the continent. A land of rainforest islands, ancient kingdoms, and one of the most complex colonial histories in Africa. This is the untold story of Equatorial Guinea, a nation once ruled by indigenous clans, later enslaved by empires, and today transformed by oil wealth and power. Long before European ships appeared on its shores, the land now called Equatorial Guinea was home to the Bubi, Fang, Ndowe, and other ethnic groups. The Bubi people lived on the lush, volcanic island of Bioko, where they farmed, hunted, and worshipped ancestral spirits among giant forests and sacred mountains. Meanwhile, on the mainland called Rio Muni, the Fang people built warrior societies known for their art, wood carvings, and secret initiation rituals that passed down wisdom through generations. These were not primitive tribes. They were societies rich in knowledge, balance, and unity with nature. Then came the 15th century, the age of explorers and invaders. In 1471, Portuguese sailors reached Bioko Island and named it Formosa, meaning beautiful. To them, this was an untouched paradise, but to the Bubi, it became the beginning of centuries of exploitation. By the 1770s, Spain and Portugal fought over the region. Spain eventually claimed control, naming it Fernando Po, after Portuguese explorer Fernando Po. The island soon became a slave trading hub, supplying enslaved Africans to the Americas. Thousands were captured from the mainland and neighboring kingdoms, taken through coastal forts, and sold into bondage. The forest of Rio Muni hid countless stories of resistance, families that fled inland, warriors who refused to be captured, and kingdoms that vanished under the shadow of slavery. In the 1800s, after the end of the transatlantic slave trade, Spain sought to rebuild its empire in Africa. Equatorial Guinea became one of its smallest but most valuable colonies, prized for its cocoa and coffee plantations on Bioko Island. Spanish settlers imported workers from Liberia, Nigeria, and Cameroon to work on plantations, while indigenous Bubi and Fang were pushed to the margins of society. Catholic missions spread religion and Western education, but also erased local culture and traditions. The Spanish language replaced native tongues, and loyalty to Spain became a test of survival. By the mid-20th century, winds of independence swept across Africa. In Equatorial Guinea, political movements began to rise, inspired by Ghana's independence and the decolonization of neighboring countries. But Spain resisted. It wanted to maintain its last African colony. The struggle for freedom grew tense, and in 1968, under international pressure, Spain finally granted independence. Equatorial Guinea became free, and Francisco Macias Nguema became its first president. What came next was one of the darkest chapters in African post-colonial history. Francisco Macias Nguema, once seen as a liberator, turned into a dictator. He banned opposition parties, shut down schools, and ruled through fear and blood. Thousands were imprisoned, tortured, or killed. Intellectuals fled the country and churches were turned into torture centers. By the late 1970s, Equatorial Guinea was called the Auschwitz of Africa, a nation drowning in silence and terror. In 1979, Macias Nguema was overthrown in a coup led by his nephew, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo. Obiang promised reform and stability, but his rule too would last decades, making him one of the longest-serving presidents in the world. Under Obiang, The country slowly reopened to the world, but freedom remained limited. Then, in the 1990s, everything changed. In 1996, vast oil reserves were discovered off the coast of Bioko Island. Overnight, Equatorial Guinea became one of the richest countries per capita in Africa. Massive skyscrapers rose in the capital, Malabo, and new highways connected once forgotten villages. But wealth brought new problems: corruption, inequality, and power, concentrated in the hands of the few. While elites lived in luxury, many citizens still lacked access to basic needs: healthcare, clean water, and education. The oil boom became a double-edged sword: prosperity without freedom. Today, Equatorial Guinea stands as a paradox: rich in oil, poor in inequality, politically stable, yet tightly controlled. Its capital islands glow all night with modern lights, but its rural areas remain trapped in the past. Young artists and thinkers now use social media and music to demand transparency, justice, and a new future. Despite decades of dictatorship, the spirit of the Bubi and Fang, the spirit of resistance, still burns. Equatorial Guinea's story is one of survival, from the slave trade to dictatorship, from colonization to oil. It is the story of a people who have endured foreign domination, internal oppression, and global neglect, yet continue to rise. When we look at its lush rainforests and volcanic peaks, we see not just beauty, but resilience. This is the untold history of Equatorial Guinea, a small nation with a giant past, and a destiny still being written. If you believe African stories deserve to be told by Africans, like this video, subscribe for more untold African histories, and share this story so the voices of forgotten nations are never silenced again.